Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store. or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.
It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. You understand maybe why the Creator has sent His messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become messiahs to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque, then in the same church, in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion. That is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness by giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine, irrespective of physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look through our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand, to be there to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle, which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome everyone to the 246th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 18th, 2018. And thanks to Flame for that spiffy new intro. That was very nice to see. And as usual, we have Mr. Keshe available for today's workshop. This is a presentation of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Public Teaching in English, and I'm your host, Rick Crammond, and I believe Mr. Keshe is ready to go with today's activities. Are you there, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, good morning to you, good afternoon, whenever you listen to this Knowledge Seekers program, series of teachings. It is nice to be back. These numbers are ticking one by one up. We are in 246. I presume another 10 we pass into 5 years. It is interesting to see how we are developing, what technologies are appearing, and how far we can push the boundary of the knowledge. I was reminded a couple of times that a lot of questions, and people have questions to answer, or they want to clarify some things they don't understand. Maybe we go through that path today to see what the questions are, and through it, not only will it clarify the what we call ambiguity, but we add to the knowledge to the same way. One of our main targets of the work is to be able to disperse the knowledge in a what I call correct way, that it becomes understood by a lot and doesn't surprise many of us when it comes about. And then we see how simple this thing has been, how simple this knowledge has been shared, and other people understand it easier than others. The teaching of last week and past couple of weeks in going into the what I call ring, or what we call the flat cores, has caused a lot of problems for a number of active people because they don't see how they can make it. They could handle a motor before where they could just stick a ball on it and find a way to do it. And now the problem is how you're going to turn around the sphere. I taught a little bit last week, and we carry on with the same line of teaching, that you were happy with your motor. Now you have to become happy without the motor. As is said, one of the biggest inventions of mankind has been the wheel. Now we flatten the wheel and you're lost. This you could associate with turning the cart, the planet. This you cannot associate with it, but if you turn it this way, you still have the same. You're still home with what you feel comfortable with. But this time the rotation is here. And the rotation is, in a way, if you look at the top side, there is no spherical shape. In the future, when we develop this technology further, and sometimes in the very near future I'll teach you, is what you've seen in the past in what we call the cigarette shapes in the space. The cigarette shapes in the space have nothing to do with this. It's another phenomenon of traveling. It's very much clearing a different direction and dimension of travel. But in so many ways, even when you look at these kind of cigarette shapes, they follow more or less the same.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. We just lost the audio part of your transmission there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Yes. So what happened in the cigarette shapes, we have different ways of doing it. There's a number of ways to create that cigarette shape, what we call the long tube shape. You become like a ray, but you create a parallel. In some advanced technologies, space programs, you will see the cigarette breaks in two hops. What in fact it is, two systems work in parallel, in tandem. It's usually done in towing system, in what you call carrying forward. You, in a way, if you look at it, the two spaceship, you lock in that way and you cover yourself. This is done in many, many cases for creation of field disturbances. When you have a field disturbance, you cover yourself, you absorb as much energy as you like. This is your shielding, and both spaceships feed from each other, and you absorb what you need. In so many ways, you choose, some systems use this method for the space travel because it suits them. It's the way they came to the knowledge, and they developed it, and they stay that way. It's very much like an electron and a proton. They understood the need for a secondary system, and they blocked it. It's very common. You see these systems. There's few races in the space which have developed this, and when they come to Earth, we see them as cigarette shapes sometimes, but they have a specific way, and sometimes they split up. Then you end up with two circles. If you go into the archives of videos, you find some of these. You might find some. But at the end of the day, the new system, what we are talking about, which we started 2 weeks ago, is what we call the ring systems. These, you cannot rotate as such anymore, because in the spherical shapes, you manage to create different spheres. In this one, your spheres are internal, but once you rotate the system, everything else rotates. You can use a pipe rotation, again you go back to mechanical. The most advisable way to do it, and there are a number of Keshe Foundation teams which are doing this now, is, as I said last time, you have to be able to feed the plasma to the plasma by the energy. The speed of the rotation or creation of gravity magnetic field or physicality comes directly by interface change in the field flow of the plasma into each disk. This disk can be stacked on top of each other, or, as I showed last time, in different sequences. These are all what it needs to be done. Not many of you will go into this territory because you lack 2 or 3 part of the knowledge. First, how to create a plasma current at a very high level. Secondly, how to create a disk that you can control the layers of the plasma. Thirdly is the field plasmas, when there is no liquid in this. But you have to create conditions that leads to what you need, trusting and knowing that you have the plasma you need inside the system. I saw one of the knowledge seekers going back to coils again, and that means I'm not happy with the new, because they usually follow the teaching very rapidly, coming up with new systems. In a very short time, I will teach you how to create these very high level plasmas. 1 volt in a, what do you call, 1 watt in a, what do you call, electric current flow, could be millions of watts in plasma flow. You only see 1 watt of it because the rest don't fit into the bandwidth, but they're there. You can use again different bandwidth at the same time. Plasma flow is exactly like the plasma itself. If you remember, all sits on 1. Depends where in the flow you lock into, that you can jump in and move across. It's not the strength according to position. It is the strength according to what it has to do. And how we see it, how we perceive it. You still have 1 megawatt if you go from this point to this point, or from this point to this point, but you have to understand how you create it, in what direction, and you go back to teachings of some time ago, maybe a couple of years ago. In a plasma flow, you always have to remember it's not one direction. Your gravitational and magnetical balance usually counts. Are you going towards the gravitational? Your plasma flow is stronger in the gravitation, or is it stronger in magnetic? I'll keep on covering this till somebody shows the first, what we call, disks, reactors. Then that's the time we'll go. Well, some of you, or one of you, sooner or later will come up with the physical development of this, and then we start moving. Then we start, the new understanding will come in when you can show it. Then you can see it moving. If you have a problem with this, go back into your systems where you use ganses and you produce ganses, and put 2 buckets of ganses next to each other and see how the fields go in respect to each other, different layers, and how the speed of rotation changes as you move 1 box nearer or closer to the other one. These are steps we have to add to knowledge, and these are what I keep on touching it very softly till we see the movement from the spherical system to the ring systems, and then we can see how we can move on. With the ring system and the spherical system, with a new present knowledge, we have passed any motor. As I told you, not using the motors was eliminated some weeks ago from the operation in Chinese space program. Now another Keshe Foundation has moved into this part. You will see their material. They understand it, hopefully. Very soon, because it's so simple now, you will see the first non-motorized, very much the way it works in the universe, the first systems in actually commercialized, that then will be delivered. So what we are moving into, I know it's very hard for Chanlin, who's worked so hard to get these motors and everything else done. Now we move the step up, and two Keshe Foundation systems have, or research centers have moved into non-motorized plasma flow. The third one is working on it. I've seen some of their work, but there is not much. The confidence has not been gained. But in non-motorized, what we call plasma flow current control, the research groups are heading on very rapidly. It's so easy. It changes a lot of things, and we soon will see what you call commercial units on sale. This literally, as if you are people who are waiting for new systems to come to operation or buy or whatever, you will see the prices in products will be slashed beyond imagination by the foundation, because the technology development has reached that point when we don't have motors, when we don't have that kind of connections which we need. It allows us to develop very new systems very fast, and in so many ways you do not, if you understood the teaching of past couple of weeks, you do not need motors to create a flow in the plasma, and the Keshe Foundation teams are reaching that point. And I was with one of them past couple of weeks, and they will move into, and you will see it as a commercial unit. There'll be a lot of surprises to many of you, how such a technology step up has taken place in such a rapid way. This is the beauty of the knowledge, and what I call openness of it at disposal of the whole Keshe Foundation team. When we tested it, plasma flow, to be able to create light within the liquid, what we said before, you will come across it when you travel in depth of the space, was unseen. Maybe in next few weeks we show the first plasma ignitions in liquids, which there will be at room temperature, not high temperatures, room temperature, very, very, what they call normal current flows. This will come out of the Chinese space development, but when we come to the new systems, which will be reduced as a commercial unit by the Keshe Foundation soon, you do not see the plasma ignition, but you will see the plasma flow and the control of the plasma flow. What it is, very much what I explained a few minutes ago, is the cigarette shape, as I said to you, how you create. You have two flat units, and you have anything inside it, in between it. Now you can target directly across. You can dictate as each layer will move. You want to change the current flow. The cancer has calcium in it. You have the calcium GANs. You have a calcium GANs on the other side. You create the current flow that you don't need to change the ratio anymore. You change the ratio of a power in a GANs. So you can literally watch as under what you call even the live MRI, as the, let's say, the tumor, the center of the cancer, which is a calcium, just disappears. These are the new technological development which will come to you in a very rapid way. Keshe Foundation research centers are working on this, and it's very, very simple. So this is what it'll come to you. It's the next step up, and it's not theoretical anymore, because, as I said, when I go to research centers, I teach and I bring the new technologies online, and this is what you will see very soon. Very much what you saw. We started with the coils, if you remember, maybe a year ago. We went to the dynamic cores, and now we are into what I call plasma flow. Very simple. You can even choose a spherical shape or a flat shape. But now, if you go to the spherical shape, you can keep the integrity of the cell, but you can target the center of the cancer. You don't touch anything. You just disable the cancer. We can watch it. You can see as the field flow depletes the cancer cell. Because now you control the field flow, as I said before, of between the two. You sandwich the body in between, and you want to take the calcium out of the breast cancer tumor. You set the system targeted directly on line, and by controlling the power flow, you just deplete the calcium within seconds. No cancer center for the cancer to, what we call, flourish on it. We can increase this to further developments in the full cancer therapy of the body itself, that the process becomes what I call a natural way. The way, as I said some time ago, walk into a space, walk out of the space, at a moment you go in for massive radiation, they give you a huge amount of radiation. Now you go for a plasma flow. You watch, there is no harm done. The rest of the cells stay intact because it's targeted only for calcium wherever it sits. You can take the tumor, understand the composition, GANs of the tumor, and play the same game. You can do the same in reverse. You want to build a tissue, let's say within the heart, you had a heart damage. You go through the same process, but you remember you have the polarity, one has to be than the other one, higher and lower. Now you reverse the system. You bring it in, but you make it very much like, you remember the positive, negative, or North Pole and South Pole? You keep two North Poles together. And in that process, you just where they meet the strength of the tissue, and you can just build that tissue at that point. It's very easy, extremely easy. It changes the game in a lot of things, even in production of the systems. In the new time, in the very near future, if you understand things, you can create constructions of anything you like with what you need at the point you need. You can just build on it. Very much like what we call the three-dimensional printers. Is the next step up. With the beauty that now, with a new system, again, the Keshe Foundation will put into the market. I've seen the prototype a few days ago. As you were producing gold and silver or whatever, now as you produce, you can allow to create a construction with it. You don't need to hold the stuff. I told you a couple of weeks ago, we bring and we change industrialization totally in different way and different meaning. But now, these are the beginning of part of the new development. And you don't need any current flow from a wall. You can use the plasma units, which creates the current, plasma current, and you can control it. You cannot control, as we've seen in the Sensano even, after a certain current, the whole thing does not work. Its rotation does not come into it. The tests we done in Chinese space development, we've seen we can run an AC and a plasma current concurrently on the same line. They do not interfere. They live two different lives, but through the same pattern, the same, and you can have an AC motor and you can have your plasma reactors on the same line, and they just carry on doing what they are set to do. This is the beauty of it, because even the electric current is part of the plasma spectrum and strength field. And these are the new changes that we have to, not we have to, you will see in a very coming more or less weeks is on the horizon. We have no choice except, as I said, to push this up. This gives me another dimension, and that is what we need to do. If you do the same thing and you put something in between, what would you like to add, or what would you like to take out? Nuclear warheads, still sitting in the ship. We know the range of plutonium and uranium. The beauty of it is, while you're watching it, you're dismantling it. This is the power of the technology. And you will see this machine in next week or two. Because nowhere in a warhead is plutonium except where it sits. And we know the ignition system. A hollow bullet. Any aircraft carrying warheads, doesn't matter which nation. Now we can directly, relatively there, the bullet is there, but there is nothing in it to fire. You take the elements out. This is fantastic because if you travel as much as I do, all we need to do in the airports is set parameters of the strength. You don't need to be a street set. Anything which has, let's say, weapon or a certain chemicals, you target with a field of strength. It just takes it out while you're passing through. Distant security. We need this in a deeper space because we need to take certain fields out of the way, or we need to carry certain fields into another position for our energy. We cannot just absorb anything in the space just because it's a field. We can only absorb from the field of the universe what we need at the strength we need. These are part of the space development, which translated and converted back into what we call security. We can change a lot of things. It can bring a lot of advantages with what I call national food resources. You can target people to feed. People just need to pass at the field of strength which you create any protein to. You just create a tunnel. As they go from zone to zone, they pick up protein, calcium, for whatever, sodium, whatever they need, that they walk out. Everything body needs has been met. Till they're hungry, they make a circle in a week time, in 2 days time, or in a few hours. This is not something which might happen. Keshe Foundation research centers are on it. It will come out as a product. As I said last time, the Keshe Foundation team will market next. I was hoping we'll see it today. I don't know if it's done or not. You will see the first unit to produce materials, where you can produce calcium, sodium, whatever, silver, whatever you need, and we told you to do it. They are deeply involved in a number of researchers together, and this will be there. And now not only you can produce the material, you can make construction of it. You can decide where you want to put it in, as I said, 3-dimensional laser, but with no ink and no material in the background. Creation of material according to the interaction of the fields. Exactly what happens on there. When the sun and moon, even sun and moon, or sun and earth and moon fields interact, they release certain kind of fields that creates material. When you look, we always look at the field strength of what absorption or interaction of the field of the earth and the sun creates, but the same kind of materials on the weaker or stronger is done with between the moon and earth too. Moon is provider of a lot of energies for us, a lot of materials which is not in the spectrum range of the sun. We produce a spectrum of fields from all directions which comes to the planet. It's not only one direction as we always think. It's the totality which we have to cover. And some fields are too strong by the time to get to the earth. So the compensation is moon is used as a filter, or the magnetic field of the earth and the moon create their own residues. What comes from the sky during the night is very much different than what it falls on the earth during the daytime, nighttime. And I taught this long time ago, maybe it's time to refer to it. As we go across different paths of the solar system, we produce different kind of materials as in interaction with the other solar systems, the stars, what we call planets and moons, allows to be created. We receive a spectrum of fields continuously. It's not the sun. If we were always on direction of the sun continuously, we will not receive what we need as a total spectrum of fields. Nighttime brings its own energy, its own level of delivery of materials which we need. Partially, if you look in very deep space and understand this work, you can translate it very easily. Why do they say you absorb more CO2 and don't sleep on the tree? Because the tree is absorbing CO2. Look what condition and what material are released by the interaction of the fields of the sun and the earth. And on the other hand, other stars in the galaxy and other moons and planets in the solar system. We need all the full spectrum of the field forces to be able to feed, to be able to survive. And at the same time...
Excuse me, Mr. Keshe, can you adjust your microphone perhaps? We're getting a bit of a weak signal there now.
Is it better?
I think so, thank you.
Yeah. Can you see what is the charges on the transmission? Please. The whole structure, now we have to open our eyes into everything else. And now with this new, what we call dynamic systems of without any rotation using motors, we have come to pass the step when the man grew. We grew, we acknowledged, we developed new, we acknowledged, we grew, and we became to create engines to create rotation. For the first time, we have moved in the direction where we create rotation without any motors, using plasma currents, which again comes from non-dynamic systems. And this is the evolution, this is the next step in the knowledge of man to step up, where we don't rely on rotation at all. Most probably when you develop your system, what you will see, the systems are both static. You don't see any rotation in your fields, in your gases, but the energy induction allows the field transfer on a plasmatic level. And what you have is not the electric current, is a plasma current. You decide you want to build or you want to take out. The new plasma reactors, what we call generation of the systems, which you will see very soon, are in development. We were told that we cannot use the generators in China. Now we are developing and completing the new generators outside in the West. Because the new generation of the plasma reactors does not use any motors, any fuel. It uses the interaction of the field. It's very much what you want to collect on the other side when I have more. Brain tumors. Building structures. These are all as part of the development of technology. It's, in a way, if you look, this is in part of the patterns. Now you can see it can be done. Some of you would like to elevate your soul. How do you do it? How can you do this? Some of you would like to elevate part of your intelligence or part of the brain which needs to be what I call processed from any damages. In the next few months and years, as people like Dr. Rodriguez and the others move and understand the work of the plasma, you will see how fast we go through evolution. In a matter of hours, matter of literally seconds in the life of man, comparing to what when we start teaching these, we have jumped, leapfrogged the whole world of science. A new understanding, a new way. What we are looking at in understanding these things and creating conditions, how we can make cells in the body of the man. Thank you. The game has changed. The game to secure man in space has changed. And as I said, the game in the structure of the what we know in the physics has changed. How do we do it? Very handful of you, very few of you understand this process now. But in the next few months and weeks, as suddenly one of you shows one thing and the other, you all will leapfrog. The plasma system reactors are in hand, and it can be shown. But what to use it for when you're looking for AC current, and we are working in the plasma current. Now we have the systems which can use the systems we already developed. Now you start seeing the beauty of the technology and what is got to come and what is to be delivered. You can go, it's in the patterns. You can use this technology very much as a laser into cut, into create a condition of boring, to bore holes. Very, very easy. Extremely easy, if you understand the plasma flow. Let me explain. I have to open these things for you that you understand. If you have a plasma flow system and you have a piece of metal here, go back into the teaching, what we spoke quite a lot some time ago. We can make it even that big, it doesn't matter. You change the plasma flow 1000 to 1 was the field flow and how you decide to flow it. If it's flow at the strength of the melting point of the metal, you bore your hole. But with this process, there are no residuals because you transfer the field strength of aluminium and the copper. So what you receive is the energy of it in this part. As many holes as you like. These are all in patterns. Go and read it. Now, we are coming to the point to do what we should. To create these kind of things with the spherical reactors was nearly impossibility. The spherical reactors are good for creation of gravitational magnetic field holding system. The ring claws are needed for different applications. Last time we spoke about the space technology in being able to create a condition that we can lift a man or lift an object. Now we look at different applications of it. Somewhere it inspires someone and they start working on it, and we'll see the next method. You can see how easily you can create the field strength of the soul of the man. Do we need to imprison? Do we need to execute? Or do we need just to elevate? Time of killing and murder is over, if man understands. The beauty of it is, I teach you something. Man with the knowledge has till fully matures, cannot deplete another soul. We don't know how. But because of the field strength to deliver to it, he can always receive it. I'll explain the reason. I always said with this technology, no one will be harmed unless they decide on what they want and what they feel. My wish is whatever it comes true because I wished it, because I release fields for it to be done. It cannot be taken from you to be done unless I want to be done. Now you understand the next step in the space technology. Use the system in a very different way. You beam the man up into space. Use the system in a different way. You heal the man with the same system. If you got a cancer, which is psychosomatic, you elevate the strength of the field of that emotion in the strength of the point of cancer. There is no cancer. Because you elevate it to the soul. In the coming time, physical time, when we understand, as I said, in time we will not have mouth and whatever to feed ourselves. We feed the soul of the man, and man creates the physicality and feed it through the soul. The wisdom, that's how it's created itself. They're all now reachable, and every man can do it. And I'm hoping that the team which is working on this to deliver the plasma power units of the new generation for other applications will show you this. You will see these systems very, very soon on the table. Any questions?
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, Mr. John?
So, in a
You sound very, very far. I think you managed to get yourself to Mars.
that's going to be my question. So, in the teleportation unit, if I put, let's say, I put a stuffed teddy bear in that field, and I wanted to send the teddy bear from one office to another, or from one place to another office, how do I reach that destination? What determines that destination?
You have to target your destination.
With thoughts?
In so many ways, you could do, but you have to understand 2 points. Well, how are you going to target grandma's house in Australia when you're in United States or in China or whatever? There's a process of matching systems. There's a process of targeting systems. Targeting systems are very common, very easily to produce. And matching system is what's like a telephone, mobile phone. One has to match the other one. Targeting systems comes through the interaction of the fields, and it works in a very different way. It's, if you look at it, I try to draw it this way and this way. You know the field of strength which is coming to you. You know the field of strength which is going away from you. And you dictate that field of strength in that atmosphere would land me here. Magnetical, gravitational. You want to bring the dog back from planet Zeus, you know where the dog is, you know where you want it to be, and this is the energy I need to transfer. You don't need to have a machine on planet Zeus to transfer it, because you have everything in the universe is unique. You just gotta match it. And it's literally 2 + 2. You know the 2 is your dog, and this 2 is the strength of the gravitational maximum at the point of destination. You add it, you come to it. It's easier to carry an envelope than individual cells, as I said in the last teaching. We'll start showing these. I'm back involved in some research again, and we'll start delivering systems like this. Very, very cool. As I said, you will see a number of new systems coming up, and John, you are part of it. You're developing some things, and you're testing some things, but you have to move in the plasma current to be able to deliver what you need. Your MAGRAPH system is one source. You have the beads from Alex, and the source. You have other technologies which you can create these kind of things as you need. So would you like to beam the Scotty up?
But Scotty's liable to end up on Zeus.
You're so close, John. I've seen your latest videos.
I think I am too.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Very, very interesting. How we create conditions and positions. Any other question?
Moshfek, and it appears that
How come you're so faint, you lot, or is it me? Carry on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it was my microphone too low.
It appears that I can individually control gravitational and magnetic fields from a field plasma reactor. And my goal is to create a spaceship skin using these positioning these isolated fields properly. So I have a system for it, and I have done tests on it, and it appears that I do have control over these fields. And
to do what? Can you repeat again, please?
I can move, it's a spherical reactor, and I can move the gravitational and the magnetic individually. So essentially increase the range of the gravitational or the magnetical individually. And I want to position them in such a way. Now I have only 2 fields, gravitational, one gravitational and one magnetical. I may need another third one for the materialization of the spaceship skin. This is my only target with this setup that I have created. And so I'm using a field plasma reactor, and I can show it to you if you want to. But I want to create this materialization of the skin, or any other kind of materialization which creates a surface which would be spherical in this case.
To create a surface, you have to consider a number of things, especially if you go back to what I call space reactors. Well, it's easier to speak this way. When we speak about the space reactors, If you remember going back to teachings as far as 3-4 years ago, we always spoke about this thing, a free plasma. Don't forget, these are on one plane. This is on the other plane. These field interactions together have dimensions, which the interaction of these three being, if you look at it as a plane in a way, is this. So when we spoke about the free plasma, the creation of balance of the fields by creation of the field plasma, it gives you the 3 layers. Leads to manifestation of physicality. Many of you cannot produce space reactors with because you cannot produce this field plasma. One of the Keshe Foundation Space Scientist guys in China says, okay, I'll deliberately put a system here and we see the position of what we call the soul of the system. Predetermining. So here's a spaceship, most probably would look something like this. And if you adjust this a little bit higher, it might look like this. And then you move it a little bit there, you might start taking a shape.
Mr. Keshe, what I'm trying to relate to is that simple example that you had of diamond getting produced from a volcano. You have a pressurized environment, which is gravitational, and when it spews out, it gets to an unpressurized environment, and then you have.
I want to stop you there.
Okay.
What is a diamond? It's a carbon. And when you heat it up at a high temperature, it has to go through a gas state to become a gas. But sudden drop in temperature around, or the pressure around, it brings it back to itself. It does not have the possibility to become in balance with its atmosphere, but it becomes in balance with its given heat, atmosphere, pressure, and it becomes what we call a diamond. And in the process of expansion to a gas and detraction back to trying to become, which cannot come, any rubbish on its way can be inside it. Make a popcorn. You understand exactly what I'm talking. If you are really realistic, there is no difference between a carbon and a popcorn. You put a corn, you heat it up. What does it do? It expands to the point when it can, and that's where it stops. That's exactly what happens to diamond. It goes through a gas state, what we call it become a gas, but cannot reach sublimation to become totally gas in the gas state. What does it do? It retracts or stays. If you look at it, sometimes I explain this in an easy way. The boundary of a carbon is the boundary of, the boundary of a diamond is the boundary of the field forces of it. And this is what if you been to diamond rivers or diamond, what do you call, beaches, or where most of the diamond is dug out, and Look at the structure of the diamond. It's literally, you can say where it comes from, because everything went through the same dynamic position, the same structure of making the popcorn. Any other question?
We've got, I think it's, well, Marie had her hand up earlier, I believe, or at least a microphone open. Not sure if she wanted to actually speak. And we've got Miguel, who has a video. Just make sure here. Yeah, Miguel has a video of a disc kind of arrangement that he's put together that he would like to show. But maybe we could keep the questions right now to what you just discussed here, Mr. Keshe. We have Krasmir with his hand up, and we'll let him go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
This is Krasmir from Bulgaria. Mr. Keshe, I have a question related to the magnetico-gravitational positioning when we send our package to somewhere. How can we determine the unique magnetical and gravitational fields in a specific point on Earth? Let's say if we want to go somewhere on Earth, and how can we determine the specific magnetico-gravitational field point on a different planet that we don't have access to in order for us to be able to make the travel to an exact place?
I've taught this in some teachings years ago. There are numbers of ways to do it. You go by, you don't go directly from high to low. You find points, or you find how the field from the destination point, it's like you point a laser beam, you send it with a, this is, I better go back to it and explain something. Go back to the teaching, original teaching. Every point has gravitational magnetic field strength. You want to send a package from here, and you want to make sure it lands here. Simple. You use a higher strength, which takes a fraction of a second compared to what you have. And don't forget, now you can control the plasma. I lose my screen. Just 1 second, please. I lost my screen. Decided to blank out.
Are you okay there? We see your screen okay.
Yeah, my teaching the screen disappeared. So don't forget to go by order of magnitude. You can test, this is where I want to be, what comes back, and you parallel it. I've taught this in a defense technology. I prefer not to go in depth with it. This has a huge military application.
Okay, thank you.
I prefer, I don't think, when we achieve peace, world peace, these things are sweet to teach.
How about...
Let me explain to you that this maybe is a warning to those who understand what military defense is. I sit in a ship or a plane, anywhere I like. I know the position of the captain of the ship or a craft, which I feel I know the intention of. How long does it think it take me to change his soul? We don't target aircrafts anymore. They're too. Because you drop the craft, they pick the guy up, they put him in another ship, and he comes again. You have to elevate the soul. I learned this in Northern Ireland. When we went into dismantling the war system in Ireland with the British government, we sat down with the CIA, what you call MI5, MI6 officers. This is a history that you might hear, and it'll come up in the historical books. What we decided with the British intelligence was we could not stop the IRA rearming itself, buying it. So what IRA, and the same with the Protestants used to do, it was a very favorite thing to do. They used to have fuel tanks. They used to get fuel from Sun Island and ship it to Northern Ireland, and price difference they used to make. Or they used to buy what is known as a farming diesel, which had a color in it, at a discounted rate, and sell it to IRA supporters or the other guys. British intelligence, British police or whatever, securities, you capture the tank here, take it, empty it, and then these tanks were building up, so they sell it or they do something with it. And these things were forever coming back. What was decided? That we intercept them. We deprive them of it. And we get a tank, we take the fuel, and we ship everything out of Northern Ireland. We took the whole ammunition. A tank of fuel is $30,000, $40,000. Now we start hitting. British government stopped IRA from funds to what it is depletion. Everything moved from Northern Ireland into Manchester. From Manchester into Africa. We did not allow any more. But we had a problem. Not only we took the cars out, we could not get the man who was committed. We start changing a tactic. We paid them off. We elevated them with financial. And gradually, over a very short time, there were no tankers, and there were not many soldiers who were prepared to go. This is how both sides were forced on the peace talks, because they had no more money to finance. It was enough to pay soldiers, but it wasn't enough to pay the arms. This is how British Secret Service and securities brought IRA. I was part of this structure. I can give you all the documents to see. Even the vehicle of registration numbers. I'm sure Jerry Adam will confirm every single vehicle. In the space is the same. It's the understanding of the process. Of being able to push, of being able to understand your position, what it is, what you're targeting. You work with the plasma. Now you work with the current of plasma. You just learned how you transfer systems. You increase the current flow of the plasma in one compared to the other. So now you can move to higher strength by increasing the plasma to move in. Or are you adding in the gravitational or magnetic? So you here takes you 10 seconds, you assess in half a millisecond what comes back, what the strength is, a target. You just don't throw your cat, hopefully lands on the space. These all need development, these all need technologies to understand. The whole process is now you have to move, and it's going to be a lot of difficulties for a lot of you to change the mindset. Your mindset is a motor, a stick, and the rotation, and the speed of rotation gives you how fast you go down the road on the wheels. Now, the game has changed. You can still have the same sphere. You still can create the rotation, but now you do with the plasma flow. But you don't have a positive, negative anymore. You have the ratio. Higher strength always rise to the lower strength. But as it goes, it has to compensate what it comes back. You always know the direction you decide to go, you have 4 times more resistance in the order of magnitude in the plasmatic condition from the return. So you can measure either way, plasmatic magnetical or plasmatic gravitation. A lot of you never understood the first part of the teaching in training. If you understood, you will understand what I just talked about. Go back and watch the teachings in training. You will understand very, very exactly what it is and what I'm talking about. I don't teach for you to do it to prove I know the knowledge. I teach to inspire to see how long will it take you to understand what I taught you. I'm a very good teacher. I don't look for the results. I look for when you understand it. Four years from training, you still don't understand. One day somebody watches one and says, this is what he was talking. But I have to tell you, I explained this to the Keshe Foundation Research Centers. They know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is where the breakthrough in the new technologies has come. I kept and I keep silent till the point somebody understands, but I go back and I teach till a few people understand, then we can bring the breakthroughs in. So when you want to travel, remember this. You want to go from A to B. You don't know what's the condition of the A, if you can see it or not, but there are indications even on the back that the field has traveled through. There is a way you can see if the field travels directly to you or has gone through a media. We have a specific technology central core balance, which is very much like this. And this is still a long way to go to your knowledge because it's not there. Every time a system interacts, it creates its own gravitational magnetic field flow on back and sits. It's a fingerprint of where in the space it has come from. So when you become graduate in the process, you know if your cat is on the other side of the moon or facing you. The gray one is from the cat. The others shows the material which has gone through in the center of the moon and what is interacted with. This part of it will arrive much different than this part of it, but is on the same plasma. You remember you had a CO2, you don't see a carbon and an oxygen separate. They're both in one gas. You have to develop the technology in a coming time that you see which part of this plasma is what strength of the carbon and which part of this plasma sit the strength of oxygen. You still got a lot to learn. This is why, as I explained a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, when you put a CO2 in Raman spectroscopy, you see different elements because the field strength in Raman spectroscopy in infrared hits this thing in different spots as it's just beaming. And then at that strength it sees this, at this strength it sees this, it says this. So it sees 22 different elements. You ask the operator what is the hit numbers on your system and how many times you have repeated that. Why do we use slow Raman spectroscopy? Then, in so many ways, if you understand this, then you know where your cat is, where it sits, or where you want to send your cat, because that's approximately where the field strength comes from. You move up to one higher level, and it's the order of magnitude. This you can send a small beam very fast, but this, it gives you what you want to send the whole package. You can still send it through this, but you have to find out in respect to where you are first. You don't want to beam the Scotty up, landing on Mars when you actually wanted to send him to New York. There is a lot of development. There is a lot of development before man gets all of it right the way he wants. And it's one of the reasons I say if the government is stop spending so much money on weapons and spend that in the new space technology development and even for peace, we catch these things up very much quicker. Can you imagine 100 million soldiers become 100 million scientists and all working towards one direction? It's the same cost. It's the same mouth to feed. And nowadays with the new technology, you don't even need to feed the mouth. We saturate them with body.
Mr. Keshe, maybe I can ask a question from Bente here, which is appropriate. She asked a couple of questions like, is the sun hot and is it cold in space? But particularly, how can a spaceship traveling in space be protected from the rays of the sun or other stars so it does not overheat or burn up?
Oh, that's easy. Next question. I think Arman can answer us. Maybe John can tell us.
I don't know the answer.
Back to school.
If you don't know the answer, John, then how are you going to make a spaceship and go to space?
Oh, he will, don't worry.
I think he will. I think he knows the answer, but he's not telling us yet.
You see, magnetic shielding as part of the defense technology is very mature. So, depending on what field you cross, you strengthen your shielding. It's the same process. You just increase the plasma current flow. It's not that you have a generator. You in the space technology, once you mature enough and understand the process, you understand you have a field flow, and by a slightest change in the flow, you create huge amount of current. You can increase that current into your shielding. What do? You go one level higher. Go back to the teaching of last week. Physicality created through the interaction of the fields, which the interaction of the fields physicality creates energy. It's a plasmatic energy. There is no conversion to the matter state because there is no third state to convert it. The fields of the sun in interaction with the field of the earth create fields of oxygen, but it stays as a field till it interacts with the gravitational field of the earth in a dimension of the inertia of it. Then it converts into the matter state. Universe is full of entities unless you match to the inertia of the matter state. This is how matters appear on this planet, and this is why we only absorb certain materials, not the others in the universe, because the inertia of the planet dictates absorption of certain fields, which that converts what is in the space into the matter state. We've taught this before in many teachings. So when you come to a very hot sun, you create a much stronger fields further distance out. And if it's too hot, you create a second layer or a third layer or as many layers as you like, but you make sure through understanding of the flow of the plasma in a reaction of ratio of the delivery, this one goes this way, that one goes that way. Any field which comes still by friction can be reduced. This part of the layering of the reactors was this. Now that you understand you don't need motors, you just need to know which layer you increase the plasma field from. I said our friend who's been selling a lot of motors with the plasma motors has come to an end. If a lot of you understand the process. I'm sure you will see these new systems from the research centers as a kit. You can purchase it very soon. The time of man's stream of rotation or motion through mechanical motors is over. Long over. We have finished with industrialized motorization. And I think when we show the first systems in the coming, I was hoping to show it today, but I don't get any answer if they're going to show it. Then you will see the indication of exactly what it is. That you will create conditions of very much, we are getting slowly to the process as the universe works. The hardest thing was to show you the matter can be there. Now, not only you're moving away from rotation through a motor, you understand how fields can create rotation. Now you understand how fields can create physicality, that the interaction of the physicality with the rotation creates energy. It's a friction. It's a way egg and the sperm creates a soul, and the soul is the creation of the physicality. No difference. Now we gear up to another step in the science of understanding. Any other question?
Okay, so does that mean you don't want to see the video of the rotating reactor of Miguel?
I think we passed seeing rotating reactors. Let's just see the plasma flow reactors.
Plasma flow reactors, okay.
Where there is no motor. Where you see the field flow plasma. When I was in one of the teachings very recently, I explained how, and you can measure it. There's a way you can measure. And you can see the strength of the field of the plasma in the body of man. There are simple ways to measure. We can measure all sorts.
Moshfek was, okay, go ahead. Is it Armin?
Good evening.
Ha! This guy must be in Los Angeles if it's good evening. Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Armin Golan, good morning.
One thing I want to ask, Mr. Keshe.
You've been asking for 5 years. You haven't stopped asking. Carry on.
Okay, I will not ask.
Come on, ask.
May I annotate?
Yeah, you want me to stop?
No, no, I can annotate. Yeah.
Ah, okay. See you line. Okay.
How, when you're saying, I understand. Oh, this is not good. No. Okay. When you're saying to increase and decrease, plasma current, how you increase and decrease the plasma current?
You need a plasma power source.
I understand that, but how you can increase and decrease? It has to be mechanical, or it has to be different way?
No, as you see, any
what about Marco's favorite word, gradient?
Yes,
no, I understand.
There it is. He answered you. You got the answer, Ahmed.
And I didn't hear what
that was the short version. I said Marco's favorite word, gradient.
No, I understand that.
Gradient, as a bigger gradient would give you a stronger field or a stronger plasma.
Go back to what we said, the ratio. Remember 20 to 1?
Yes.
Now you go 1,000 to 1. The flow is here, your plasma system. You connect it to this.
No, I understand that. I understand the structure. But what I don't understand, let's say in our power supplies, we have a small button over here. We turn this way or the other way. The power goes up or down. This is the way we understand to increase or decrease the current.
You see, in a normal mechanical system, as you said, you have this gadget.
Yes, correct.
Yeah? No. In the plasma technology, we have 2 gadgets.
Okay,
Gravitational.
Okay. And magnetical. Okay.
Yeah. So, how do you want to play it? We got to understand we're dealing with a 2-field flow. You use one to control the other. At the end of it, the value has to be constant at any given strength. It's understanding and stepping it into the next dimension. Is it what I put in, I connect one, would I get back what I need? Do I need wires? We don't see any wires in the universe. Do I need to position this to create a flow of gravitational and magnetical in respect to this one or this one?
Okay, now it's changed the whole perspective again. Okay.
No, it's stepping up in the knowledge. It hasn't changed. Now we
I know.
understand.
I know. I understand.
So there is no need for motors. It's the grinder. You bring it closer or further, or you find another way to control this, which is very easy to control. You don't need to move it, but you understand how the field flow comes. Your own controller becomes part of your own creation of what I call energy. We don't see any wires. We don't see. Go outside and look into the sky, and you will understand a lot. Caroline is very good at it. She stands outside and says, "This is what happened there. This is going on there, and I can see this field flow from here to there." She's become very good at it. You just learn how to field flow. And this is part of what we call a process of understanding a system. We got to go into the next level. We got to understand what it means to go to the next level. We got to understand what are the process of it.
That's what we want to understand, Mr. Keshe.
You already understood. You've done it many times. You've done it many, many times. You just got to go back and look at the process as a totality, and then you look at it as what you see. There's something, maybe I can touch on it. Maybe it's like what I said last week, and I said this morning. I thought, shall I go and ask how many of these guys have actually spent 20 minutes, even one day in the last week, putting things out about the foundation? How many of you did? Or you were just here, it was a good chat? How many of you are committed here to do it? I do not know. That's a judgment for you. You want peace, you want everything else, you want the knowledge, but you're not prepared to work for it. So as long as it's your benefit and you can see it, it's done. Make a maggraph system, make everything else. Now I'll give you another exercise. You ignore the other one. See if you do this one, then I'll give you another, what do you call it, another trap to fall through next time. This is what you have to do. This is part of what you have to do. You go and stand on your balcony at night or in the garden, and you look out into the skies. You see many stars. You see many combinations of stars. A lot of you, part of being physical, you know that Earth has a soul. So does every star has one. How many of you can close your eyes, not trying to say, I'll close my eyes, I don't see,
But how many of you can see the soul of these planets through your soul? Even look at them with the open eye and try to see the soul. Stand in front of your husband or wife or your child and see if you can detect and feel their soul. Man has to go that way. This guy is not from Earth, does not know feature but exists there. Man has no eye. You don't have a radar system. We lost the trust in our own creator, which is our own soul. We are not playing magics anymore. It's not something for fun. Gradually, we have to. In so many ways, we have to elevate our own soul. If you look at it this way, our soul at the moment as a human being, we're operating at this strength. We have to step up. Because at this level, our soul is in communication with the rest of the souls. Where do we want to go? With the soul of humanity at their strength, or the soul of blah blah and the rest of it? Man will have a hard time in the space if he tries to just look what he can see. Because some of the souls have no physicality at the strength of the man. It is not very easy, but it's the beginning of. But in so many ways, would we come up with soul vision, like we have a night vision glasses? These are the steps that we go through. A lot of these things which I especially taught today and in the past few weeks and for some times, and then you come and say, oh, you said that in that teaching 100 and something. Just remember what I taught in teaching 246 in 2 years' time. It's not, we set the path. As I said, I don't know if I spoke with it about it last time or in the past times. I wrote to one of the knowledge seekers. A messenger, when he tells you there will be such and such a person, there'll be at such and such a time in 1,000 years to come, is not that he has pre-seen. He has set his own soul to be guardian that his word will happen. And it come through where he said the way he said it. Because the souls, when they commit themselves, have achieved it and they do it. And in so many ways, if I wish, it's not a wish. When my soul decides, it will become my wish. Then we understand more about the world of creation. We always think we wished it happened, but the soul wanted it. It created to become your wish. Go outside tonight or tomorrow, or go and stand in front of your child or your cat or your husband or your whatever, and try to see the soul of it. You have enough knowledge to do. Or make yourself a plasma power generator and hold on to it and see when you start seeing things to the vision of the sight of the soul of the man. Those of you who have been around with me, I have already developed such a plasma system. You can hold it, but depends what you want from it. But then you have a strength that the strength of the matter plasma. When you make your plasma systems and you hold it, you can build up to what you need. This is the beauty of what is coming up in the development of the new technology. When you use your magnetic systems and you plug it into a wall, you have the limitation of 240 electronic magnetic field, and your plasma has a limitation, which is a matter state limitation. When you build up these new plasma reactors, which I hope our teams are working on it, and it's very promising what they are achieving, and some others have achieved it, is that now you have a limitless plasmatic magnetic field strength, both on gravitational and magnetic. It's you, as Arma said, how do you adjust it? And then it goes back to what we thought a long, long time ago, and now gradually will come to you understand. Be in love. You have to give to receive, to understand the position of what you're given and what you receive. Lying and cheating will become very, very difficult. Because you don't ask the question to the ear of the man for the mouth of the man to answer. You put the question to the soul of the man, and it'll enlighten you. It always goes back to the song. Remember, if you're 60s boys and 70s boys, it says, goodbye loneliness, hello happiness, because it'll be a happy time. Then you don't have that problem. I stand and I get light too in my face, and I see the soul give me the answer and say, my God, which one am I going to put on the table? We have to understand that the elevation of the soul of the man comes through new way, and we can do it. And now we have the tools. We put the ganses to elevate the soul of humanity. Now we can target humanity to elevate the soul. Oh, what are we going to do with President Trump? I don't know. What are we going to do with the other world leaders? And first of all, what are we going to do with ourselves? The new dimension, the new understanding of these plasma technologies, understanding of creation of fields on the floor, it changes everything. As I said, for the first time, we are not dependent on any rotation or burning. We depend on the field flow transfer. Would we sell batteries which are at the soul level, or would you sell the batteries that are at gold level, or would you sell batteries that are at the food level? I see the Keshe Foundation are selling bowls of different strength and whatever. We are moving into a new dimension, and the faster it comes in and we show magic, then they don't believe it, there is something wrong. But unfortunately, there are too many magicians called Keshe Foundation supporters who are delivering too many magic words around.
Mr. Keshe, perhaps we can introduce another question now that you've brought that up, because it seems to work in. You once said, it's us who can fail or succeed according to our own path of belief. So a question came up, in terms of plasma science, or in terms of plasma fields, what is a belief, or what is, how does our perceptions or beliefs work into the plasma point of view?
My explanation is very simple. In what we think is right for us to have and to be in and to exist within. I'm a Muslim. I believe killing and shooting is my way because Muhammad said. So it becomes my belief, but it's not what Muhammad said. Or do I become a Christian in my belief? I do everything wrong and I go on Sunday in the box and I put a pound in and that's it. My guilt is washed and I start doing it again. What made us believe? Or it's just the way we accept to be? Our belief comes from what we think is our right to have. Can I have a glass of water? Cold. Listen to the machine. This is what is our perception of belief. What is my right? Then I have to get it is my belief to be. Or they made me to think that becomes my belief that how the Muslims are and how the Christians are. One has to be made bad to be good for the others, but the one who's always tries to be good actually is the worst one, the worst of all, because it's so bad that it works to make that one bad enough that it looks good. What is my belief? What do we believe in? I believe in whatever it is, and then if I'm committed to it, I set my soul in that direction. And then I say, because I believed, I achieved, I've got to where I want. Thank
you very much. Mr. Keshe, maybe I can play a video with the sky formations and we can talk about that a little bit. I have a question about that, and maybe Pia can also...
You're trying to play this?
Well, it's good for discussion because I think it brings up some interesting points. So allow me, indulge me here on this one.
No problem. After 246 times, we might give you a chance.
Yes. Okay, so let me see here. There we go, and should start sharing there. I think I'll probably keep the sound, well, I keep the sound down on it. Maybe I'm not sure if there's exactly what the background sound is, this 3-minute video, this one. And maybe we can discuss through the video as it's going on. And Pia, if you want to join in here, let me make sure you're set up here. I'll promote you to panelist so you can talk. So when I introduced, you mentioned, let me set this up a little bit. You mentioned, Mr. Keshe, that I'm trying to show this video. And Pia wanted to show it as well because it's, let me just play it while I'm talking here. I'll keep the sound off. It shows different sky formations, and this is something that's important to many people. They see certain formations in the sky, and it has meaning to them. And sometimes they might see, UFO type objects or something unusual that makes them reflect inside themselves. It connects with them in some way. Now you mentioned it's in some cases, perhaps, or at least maybe in most cases, it could be natural, what's called natural formations or natural, weather patterns and that sort of thing.
This is very easy to see. I mean, you don't need much imagination to see what you see. This is what I call the one we just saw. To me, I'm not an expert, but I look at the things in the film. These are all natural phenomena. These are very natural phenomena. This is the flow in the airflow. It's how it condenses things. These are natural phenomena. If you want to see a real UFO sighting, I think you won't be able to find it, but if you can go, I always say, because it's so unnatural. These are very simple things. These are airflows. And then you have certain, what do you call it? If you want to see spaceships, I can show you spaceship clouds. It's so transparent. These are airflows in different, what do you call it, dynamics.
Okay, well, this ties into the other question about beliefs again, and
you see, let me explain to you on the belief and seeing it. I watched this maybe a couple of 100 times. I've said it before. It's on BBC 2 in June, I think 2011, 2010. There's a movie, and the guy walks on the Brighton beach. This is just a normal recording. They're recording a scene for a movie. The guy walks down the steps. As he comes down, the camera is totally focused on the actor. But above, you see clouds, and you see UFOs going from one cloud to another. It's amazing, you watch it. And BBC never realized what they were showing. But you're so concentrated on it. I recorded it. I kept it. I don't know where it is when we left Belgium. And you see it. This is something then people say is made. There was no need for such a thing to be made up. And you see coming and going back in a scene of 3 minutes on the beach. You see the UFO cloud, and then you see the UFO moving from one to another. It's amazing what you watch. Unless BBC was trying to distract. But, as I said, intelligence is not dependent on man. And most of these, when you see it, especially nowadays, lines like this, these are mainly set up by jetliners. And when they mix up, and how they mix up, and how they, with the winds and the structures in the space, they change. It's, if you fly high altitudes now, some of the jetliners reach just under 40,000 feet at the moment in the present time of work. You see strange clouds in the very high levels. You see like a light bulbs in the clouds. And if you don't understand, so it's like UFOs hiding it. But if you understand the reflection of light at the lower altitude, how it hits the cloud, you see how they light up. It's very, these are all to the present knowledge. We know majority of these are jetliners. You see, just one is there on top flying. If you go backwards 1 second, they depends on what altitude they are. They create different kind of what do you call it, voice line, or what do you call it? You see it, it's coming there on the left. In a few minutes, it'll be one of these lines. And in some of the high traffic, if you go through some part of Germany especially, and some part of Central Europe. Don't go towards the coast of Europe. Go to the more central line, Germany, some part of Luxembourg and other parts where there's a huge traffic. Everybody has to cross it from Northern Europe, Southern Europe, people coming from the east going to the south. You see hundreds of things a day. These are all light reflections.
Maybe we could hear from Pia and see what she had in mind with this, or had a different belief about.
These are jetliners. These are amazing amount of jetliners. Wherever he lives, he's on the air traffic controllers. You see, if you were in Western Europe in 1980s, late 80s, 90s, that's, you see the jet line is going right through the sunlight. It's coming out the other end. The travel from, let's say, West Germany to Manchester used to be like 2.5 hours, let's say, 1 hour, 2-hour quarter. When the Cold War finished, suddenly we noticed half an hour, 45 minutes drop in flights. Because what was happening, air controllers through military zones were diverting jetliners to go to a certain path that they cannot see, record any military bases across Germany and across, Western Europe. And we used to see a lot of these cloud lines in some places very heavy, because that was the only tunnel which they were allowed to go through. And now we have more and more of planes. If you look now with A380s, the 380s carry huge number of people in them, 500 people. And you look at the 777, they carry huge number of people. We have millions of people at any time flying over us. And all these create all these flights. Man has become very mobile. Sometimes I remember 40 years ago, it wasn't this busy. Now it's very busy. Boeing is making so many jetliners every year. Airbus is another one. We have the little boys making one. Where do they go? They just are not sold, create jobs for nothing. They become lines in the sky. And depends what it reflects and where the sun hits. You see, you got this orange here stopped, and I tell you where the orange line comes. I want to see if I can do something. Can you see? Can you see where this line comes? And where does it disappear? And why the light is lighter, shinier on this end than this end? If this is of a higher order, transfers the light to it. It's very easy. These things you can explain extremely easy. I just rub it off, and you look at it again, and you see exactly where the line comes. It's very simple. You can read anything. Some things you can explain, something you can't. But you see where the light is here, and you see what tunnel is used. The light is delivered to the cloud. It's additional energy which comes in by accident. The light, it hits the cloud. Otherwise, you don't see it; it just disappears. You look at this one here in this code, and you look at the tunnel. You see a lot of things in this space, but you have to find out what lines has been used by the clouds are conductors. This has nothing to do with UFOs. This is a simple phenomenon.
Okay, maybe Pia, would you like to say something there?
Hi, Mr. Keshe and everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I just wanted to share the pictures because I've seen so many of this, that you talk about the aeroplanes. I did just wonder that some years ago I didn't see so many lines from those aeroplanes, and I really wonder, for example, here in Denmark we had 4 or 5 days now with a lot of sunshine, and we had totally clear skies, and certainly there was no tracks from the aeroplane. I really wonder why. And certainly we had a lot of trails in the sky.
The atmospheric condition decides the manifestation of the trails, not the plane. The pressure, the temperature, and a lot of other things. And it's not that they change fuel, it's just the change of the atmospheric condition. This, anybody can tell you this. You don't need to be what I call Einstein to understand it. But just somebody look at just go on a Google, somebody tells us how many jetliners did Boeing put on the line last year in the sky. How many Airbus did. These planes don't come off the line. They are there to be used, and certain time of the year they're used more and more because there's a traffic. I was in the airport a few weeks ago, and I saw so many aircraft just parked on the standby. And I know a little bit about aviation and aircraft costing, and I thought, how can they park these? Just parked, one after another, 737s. And I thought, the ticket cost we pay covers all these parking spaces during the year. These might be used 10 weeks a year, but the airlines are not prepared to go. And secondly, is on the lease. If you go bankrupt, it's just there. And the airlines sold the tickets on the aircraft. As we heard from the American president in the past few days, we cannot cancel the order to Saudi Arabia because it's a lot of jobs for the defense technology. And all these jobs are weapons and aircrafts and F-16s and 18s and everything else which goes with it. Aircraft industry is a huge business. This is what, if you remember, when the Iranian peace talks ran into a problem, I gave an interview to Mike Harris in America on a Thursday, and I said, we would like to know which American senator would like to refuse between 5 or 10 million jobs created with the contract with Iran. And on the following Monday, the head of opposition to the Senate resigned, and we got the policy through. It's the same. The world leaders know what it means. You got to understand why the 5+1 don't stand next to United States this time. Because in the past 2 or 3 years, we've been cheated by the Americans that nobody can talk to no Iranians. It's a criminal offense where all the American companies were signing the contract, pre-signing contract that nobody does with a threat. The Americans went to Iran and wiped everything out to the benefit of the Americans, created more than 15 million jobs in the state. Then the French became very wise. Peugeot was losing contracts. Peugeot signed contracts. And this time nobody is following. The boycott coming up is the same. It's an industrial revolution. People are not prepared to put jobs at risk in Germany. Millions of jobs created out of Iranian peace talk. Millions of jobs in France. And clearly, today's talk, we got a journalist saying one Russian spy was killed. They brought such a heavy sanction on Russia. And one Saudi Arabian journalist allegedly died in the places which should be the place of his nation. There's no sanctions. And the reason is too much jobs depends on this. double standard. And these are the things you see. You've got so many aircraft. Half of what sky you see in the skies are military aircraft. Even with the dump trailers they have, they cannot control it. Many of the aircrafts we see nowadays, especially in Western Europe, Northern Europe, where you live, are military trailers. Some places up to 80–90%, if you understand the sensitivity of the place. Gun policy has become a peace policy for one nation and doesn't cut anymore. And these aircrafts are all there, spy aircrafts, wall swords, all dimensions into it. These lines we see more and more. Somebody tells us how many Boeing sold last year. How many Boeing jets have been brought in line in past 15 years? Because any jets less than 15 years is still aircraft, is still flying. We are traveling, we demand to travel, we see that our right to travel. And these things create lines. And I try to stop these things in my teaching. So people making cases of it, chemtrails and everything else, and everything else, it's not there. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, there were a few Europeans, some Arabs got rich, some Japanese 30 years ago got rich, and they start coming and invest in Europe and America. We saw a lot of Japanese, and with one man sticking a stick up and just following them. Now we have a bigger economy for the West. Europeans cannot afford putting a sanction on China, because you watch how many planes leave Beijing, cities around China, tourists downloading, each one $1,000, $2,000, 500 people aircraft, plus the fuel, plus the air ticket. How much China is investing in the West? In your hotels, in your food chains, in the souvenirs, which most probably made in China, brought back, and they buy a souvenir from Paris, which is made in China, bring it back home. We have created that demand. And you call it compliance. Man has to become realistic in what he's done to himself, what he's doing, and blaming everybody else. Excuse me, 2 weeks ago, you were going to Spain on holiday from your country, and somebody saw that trailer. That's because of you. Now there is somebody else who's making it. Was it good enough when you made it? Now it's bad when somebody else makes it. But as I said, these chemtrails are all history. With the development of space technology, we don't see this. What they're going to do? Light trails, UFO damages, and spaceship damages. Just stand outside an airport in Europe for 1 hour. See how many thousands of Chinese walk through London, Paris, New York, and everywhere else. Now they have the money, they want to see what we stashed away for centuries. You go and see their walls, they come and see our walls. We call it a castle, they call it the wall of China. It's all the same bricks. But we create a lot of these chemtrails.
So I want to ask you, is there a way you see that we could use this technology before we start the space travel for every average people? That we could use this technology to clear up some of the pollutions that's in the air?
I have the pleasure to say yes, because Chinese Keshe Foundation team has made a system which is actually sitting in Italy, when our team in Italy make their move and be able financially to afford to do it, as they say, that you connect this unit to your car, and according to the governmental test centers, they have reached zero emission. I was talking to somebody this morning who we talking about absorption of the poison from gases, and I showed him, and he says, his reaction was very clear. There is a need for it, for a car industry. They know what to do with it. If we put one of these systems in an appropriate way in the jetliners, yes. But the problem is these are just more or less 90% of it is steam. It's burning of the fuel, creating up what you call clouds. There is some waste in it, we understand. We took it out of the ground, it's in the tank where you want it to go. But with the new plasma technology, we can change the composition of it as we need. We change the energy of it within this. Doesn't need to go through a matter state conversion. And this is what we've seen with the Chinese. They have a beautiful statistic data certified, stamped by government test centers. Zero emission, 100% reduction in emission of CO2. The technology is there. It's just this is why we are pushing for different development. We got geniuses in China, in Keshe Foundation. They have done a lot of beautiful things, and very soon we'll see the fruit of their work. Yes, this can be cleaned up, but while you want to clear the cloud, this is the water you created. It's going to rain on you. You needed your short of water in North Europe. You never had such a drought as this year. Hasn't rained much since last March, maybe before. But thank God there is some cloud up there that it rains down somewhere. It's not all bad story. It depends where you sit to watch and how realistic you are.
Yeah, it sounds very nice. So do you see it like we have the transition period where we clean up the waters and the airs the best we can until we have the plasma technology ready for the travel?
It's time to will do. I was walking with Caroline a few days ago. We were walking through the woods, and we were shocked that, you know, when you see, you take a leaf and you put a hairdryer or fire to it, it curls up. Trees in Europe, literally a whole tree has burned from the drought. All trees, young trees, they have died. Literally, they have died from drought and heat. It's just like a sunstroke for the trees. Not one or two, hundreds of thousands of trees in Northern Europe has been hit this year. We need every drop. If the aircrafts can help us with the clouds, we call it the chemtrail. Maybe there is some things in it, but where that moisture is coming, and there is some sort of maybe helping the situation. I can hopefully some people can walk into the woods and jungles of North Europe, and I've never seen such a thing in my life. I watched many fires in England and in Europe due to lack of water, but the trees dying of the heat. Full tree, maybe 10, 20 years old trees, beautiful trees. They just been hit with a little sunstroke. Not only the water is not there, but the heat has literally, it's horrendous what you see. Not one, you walk to another tree, you see another tree. Which one survived? Trees have literally dried up in their roots in one season. Can we change? Can we put maglev systems and gas balls around the trees and change the environment? We've seen something very strange. I think we can show, if we can send a single picture of the kiwi tree, please, to Klaus. I'll show you how big difference we are making. It's very amazing. Now in Northern Europe, the kiwi tree, I mean, all the trees are losing their leaves. But what I received and what we see on the pictures, this kiwi tree has started creating leaves in past couple of weeks. It's gone through the cycle of its own growth, which is very amazing. And all it is, it shows it has not accepted the autumn has become another cycle of life for it with the change of the heat. We've got to see what's going to happen. the trunk is growing. But the other plants, do we have somebody online who can send a picture of the kiwi tree? You see what is changing. We're changing climates for the location. Klaus, Rick, if you have a picture, if you receive a picture of the kiwi tree growing leaves in autumn, you will see it. It's amazing.
Where would that picture be, Mr. Keshe?
If the guys in the background can send it to you, you will see it on your Zoom most probably.
Okay.
On your Telegram, whichever is your channels with these people, you will see it. You will see the kiwi tree has start growing spring leaves in autumn. The other trees are still 1 centimeter, maybe 1.5 centimeter in diameter, still at 40, 50, maybe 60 centimeter high. But now the kiwi tree has gone through expansion of its thickness. It's literally shocking when you see the pictures. We have managed to change the condition. As the test has shown in Chinese research, we do not touch the genetic. The only thing is left, we have to change the climate in 1 season.
I want to ask you, so you talk about, of course, we are doing, like we can do, we can make plasma balls and plasma gases, and we can do many things ourselves to help this situation. But do you also see that we actually can make devices to suggest to the aeroplanes and the business that we actually can reduce this pollution? Can we manage to do this?
I'm gonna be very direct, maybe is the way to say to be. The amino acid which created the oil, which we burn and we take it up and we use it as a fuel, came from the what do you call it? The upper atmosphere. Now, how it's composited together, we consider different conditions, how it suits us. We have to look at the cycle of life on this planet and become realistic, and not just what it suits us when it suits us. Let's see how we can represent this, maybe how we can do this. We have the sun, the source of our energy, the source of our life, the source of our existence. And we have something called the earth. What does it do? We create from the interaction of it fields. We convert the fields into condition of matters or life as we like it. We now have matured enough to convert the matter again into nano and to the GANs and back into the smaller sun. How many of you got a background noise, can somebody close the microphone? How many of you have ever considered when you made your ganses, is this all you made, is what all you see? Or have we created some ganses which are the gravitational magnetic field of the sun and already have it? You remember the story of the orange and the water, there is no difference. How many of these gases which you are there already become part of your body? How much of it has gone into the tree and the plants? We done a very interesting observation. In a trial, in a test, in a cornyard, in a cornfield, the farmers left the GANs container here. And I was there a few weeks ago, and these are all corns, lines of corns all the way. But what happens, the farmers have to go through this little patch of between the gaps between the corns to get into the GANs tank to bring the GANs to water other fields. Because when they put the GANs there was nothing there, they just put it there. Everything has grown together. So what I did, I walked inside the corn maze, following the track of the workers. Very interesting. I picked up a maize here, a corn. And I picked up a corn somewhere here. The corn near the tank is fully mature. And the corn in the distance and the others still has got a long way to go to mature. Those of you who work with gases in the environment of the house, you put a ball, you got a box making it, you're continuously receiving from the tank. This tank in the farm is your kitchen, it's your garage, you work in the environment, your body keeps on taking. Look at your habits before you ever started with GANs technology, and look at your habits today. We asked the people who work there to tell us what's the emotion of the workers who go and spray these gases on these tanks. They feel much better, they feel happier. They're happy to be putting GANs on it. So, do we need to put reactors around the airports? You talk about the chemtrails in the sky? By God, have you stood? You go aircraft watching on the airports? Have you seen how they land one after another? How come the chemtrail is up there? You don't see it when it's down the road, over your house, over your city? Just down the airport? You go to the airport to pick these people up, you're going into the tank of it. What does it bother you in the sky of it? It's like, it's very funny. You see people who go for a run, they do 5-kilometer run. But have you seen where they run? Next to the motorway, where all the exhausts come out. Are we going for a run to get cancer? How many of them have you seen people go for a run? They go for exercise. Down the roads, there is nowhere else. And where does it go? All the cars go to. I'm going for a cancer run. And I never run in this city. It's the time when you absorb most of it. How many of you live by the airports? How many of us travel around this area? Just because we don't see it, we become ignorant to it. But if you think of it, it's there. Isn't it time to put systems around the city and gradually in the cars to dissipate it? We don't destroy it, we convert it to a gas which is much different. I was talking to people who do research. They put the system to get rid of some animals from the tree because it was damaging the forest. All the animals have moved out. There is no animals left. We create a new condition. this is what I'll keep on saying. Nowhere on this planet, the amount of knowledge seekers we have, the amount of ganses made by millions of you is left here, because you all use mines, the same copper. Some of it lands in New York, some of it lands in London, some of it lands in Delhi. The same depends, the merchant didn't decide. The order came, the guy wanted the wire and blob in North America, they shipped it there, but it comes from the same mine. So, as I said just before, some of the ganses you made, how they feel the strength has gone to the moon or back to the sun. It's the same reality, it's not a story. That the copper wire used in Washington, the copper wire used in Beijing, the copper wire used in South America, the copper wire in London, you all came from the same mine, the same Africa. You made ganses. Remember the field? I've pushed man to new dimensions, and the more people do it, the more it spreads. Now you see how you're trapped in the cycle. But unfortunately, you forgot another part of reality. There are trees in this gap, and there are fishes in this gap, and animals in this gap. Now we are totally embraced by it, and it's time to live in this world. And now, those of you who moved into dynamic, when you had it in the low box, you covered a little bit of it, some fields of it. You made it dynamic, you covered it all. Now we got into the plasma transmission. My God. I told you, I creep on humanity through back door if I have to, and I'm doing it slowly, slowly. Do we have anything from our Italian friends? Do they have anything to show this week, or are they still on the shopping exhibition?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for your comments. Thank you.
It's not comments, it's the realities we have to face. The Keshe Foundation people who are around us, I try to teach you to become realistic, to see the totality of the picture, not in what they want to show us. The comment about what we hear politically, we hear in the war situation or the rest, because we are enough of us to understand there is more to it than just eating and dining and sleeping and the rest.
Yes, I see.
We cannot understand the totality of it. Here is not just teach you how to make backup system. The new nation needs a new understanding, and being one nation, we have to understand all the problem belongs to all of us. As the head of Keshe Foundation, trying to bring up one nation. In a very short time, we'll ask you to move in that direction, to build one nation. We have to see, we have to let the old crumble by itself before we can build on it. It's not building from the ashes. It's showing that it's time for a new change, not the failure of the past. It's also brings it, we don't wait for the weakness to attack. We wait till we are strong enough that we can show us the way to the correct conduct, the correct way of delivering the knowledge.
Mr. Keshe, there's a message, or a question rather, from Carrie Ellis. I don't think she's here right now. She may or may not be able to hear.
I haven't heard from that soul for a long time.
Oh, she's been in the background, yeah. And it has to do with what you're talking about, I think, in a different level, which is addressing, in this case, the problem of ants and ants infestation, basically. And I've got some pictures that I can show and her description of the situation. And I think it's maybe you can enlighten us as to a different approach that that we can take with this problem, let's say. So let me share the screen here and find my window. There we are. Here.
Do you want me to stop sharing?
I can override there, so it's good. I think we should have it there now. And you see, there's several pictures, but this is one of them. And let me read what she wrote here. She says, wonder if you could ask about the ants this coming morning, see if Mr. Keshe will answer. I will attach a few pictures. One person said that Klaus had used the healthy tree matter where the root and trunk come together to make a GANs and used that and the insects left. I have not tried that yet. I have sprayed with and poured and put bottles out in star formation, multiple applications of GANs, CuO, CO2s, zinc oxide, CH3, various applications. Also tried GANs mixture with essential oils such as neem and peppermint. So far they have not been undeterred, and they have been undeterred and just continue their journey. Besides the 5-foot path full of ants going across the yard and up the tree and back down with bits of leaves, they have almost de-leafed a whole row of large old bougainvillea type of plant. I have spent time talking to them, asking them to go to the ravine behind us with much wild land. There are about 30 nests just in front of the house, and it's not good for the house as they are also making bigger hills under the house. Any input, welcome. I'll try to share a couple of the other pictures here. Let me get this set up.
Do we have any specialists who can tell us?
Like one thing that comes to mind is what you were talking about of not necessarily killing the ants, but just making the condition stronger makes the tree and the house conditions a stronger field strength, so they no longer feel like they want to hang out there. They would naturally move somewhere else, let's say.
Do they really harm the tree? Do they do anything wrong to the tree? Or is just their playground?
Yes,
They're taking all the leaves, it's dying.
Taking all the leaves off, yeah. And they'll definitely take a house apart once they start nesting inside of a house.
Okay. How do we handle this? I think we can ask Dr. Gadbois. Any solution, Dr. Gadbois? This goes back to the agricultural teaching. How can we grow wheat while we kill the wheat or we move them out of the place? This is a crisis in South America, Brazil. Wheat have become immune. How do we handle selectively to change the composition of the environment? But where do they go? To the next door neighbor? Now I'm safe, there is no problem. Or do we create a condition that the life condition is not there for certain things which we don't like to be there? What are we going to do if we have the aliens here and we want to move them?
What if the aliens look like ants? Mm-hmm. And
Some do too, huh?
we have a real dilemma.
Yep. What about the ones which come to your soul and sit there? Forget about the ones there's no physicality. We have to understand whatever you produced here does not change the environment for them. You're in the wrong track with these little chaps.
Well, I was actually thinking they might be quite happy with all the GANs around, and maybe that's what's attracting them.
Maybe
to the
that's why they're
situation.
growing so good.
Yes, most animals would be happy with all the GANs around, but of course the intention.
PhD around. You
Pardon?
see, there are a number of ways. We have this dilemma at the moment in agriculture. It's a serious position with weeds, with pesticide. We noticed in one trial, they tell us that where they have used the gases, they don't need any pesticide. They don't see problems. The environment has changed. If it's not to your satisfaction of what you've done, what can we do? What is the next step to do it? And most of these ants, even they take their own soldiers back or their workers. You don't have one to do anything with in so many ways. You got to see there are different ways of handling a situation like this, because it's not just one, it's around us everywhere. We've seen it with the beetles in Austria, we've seen it in other countries with different, what do you call it, infestation. We see it with the harvest. The science and the technology, what we thought has to be able, or you should be able to replicate number of conditions that is opposite to what they want, but there are so many of them. Would you kill them? Would they all move out to somewhere else, but then it becomes next door neighbor? Or would you like to send them to the ravine? They can live in the woods as long as they don't touch me. But how much can you maneuver them? You need to make a specific gas condition that they don't like. Whatever you put in there, they thrive on. Whatever you're doing, you give more of. You are actually, with your ganses, the way what we saw with kiri tree, you're growing the tree. So there are more there, you're actually feeding them.
Well, Mr. Keshe, it occurred to me that you talked about that. We talked about this one time where we showed an ant farm, and the GANs, they liked the GANs. They took it down into their holes and and stashed it inside their ant farms and so on. Yeah. What if we, instead of trying to get rid of them, led a trail down to the ravine of the stuff they like, and they just followed the trail down like a trail of honey or something? But in this case, maybe it's the CH3 GANs or something like that they like, and just make the trail go down there so that they end up wishing to go in that direction because that's what they like.
You see, there are two ways to do it. To me, is you want to handle one single ant, or you want to handle the whole colony, which that's all this food is going to. Without harming them, change the environment in the ground, that they move. All these leaves is going to storage. Chasing them down the whatever, putting whatever down the holes or whatever, doesn't help. If you understand how the work is, you just change the environment in the nest. They'll soon move. You don't need to do anything. And you need to repeat the same thing. Just put beam of GANs 4 or 5 in the same ratio across. It should be very easy to find out what they don't like, the thing you don't like, and they just move on. You don't kill them, they just move on from that nest. But if you put enough of these things around, what happens? Or you create layers of ganses. understanding the ratio, you create a vibration of GANs, which is very easy, over the moving area, over the nest. The target should not be the tracks. The target should be the nest, where you just allow them to move on. You make living in this part not suitable for what they want, and they soon move on. The dynamic systems, or they call the static systems, especially with the plasma system, should be very easy to achieve this.
What about the disk system that you've brought up recently? Maybe that could be suspended over an anthill.
Yeah, but you have to find, you don't feed them, you understand?
Right, yeah.
So what to find out?
Well, you mentioned today the reversal of the fields, like having the fields north to north as opposed north to south to create a
test. We did a test a few years ago where a guy who was on narcotic because of the, what do you call it, a stroke, to bear the pain. The first day, more or less, when he drank the water, even the taste of a cigarette, forget about what he used to take for painkiller, became so bad that he could not touch it away again. You can change the composition of the food in the nest, or you can change, in a way, the soul of the ant. But that needs a lot of understanding. You're not at that level at the moment. But if you change the composition, the way you change the moving a cancer or changing a water which tastes like orange, these nests are moist. So you put in there what they do not like, the composition changes, they move. Tracking tree, this is the middle of our accident. The actual accidents happen when everything goes down in the hole, becomes food. You have to change that position and just change the environment.
Mr. Keshe, we have another question that relates to this, which is from a Jedi. Given the physicality of a system and the ratio of 1 to 1,000 or 1 to 20, should we consider the mind, intent, and our soul as a part of this technology that enables this change of pitch or gradient? So 3 rings of the lower plane would be controlled by the upper one without the need of using a knob?
John,
does that tie in? Would that tie in with the ants as well? Is why I brought that up. And how can we have the correct intent? How can we have the correct intent again with these ants? Because you mentioned we're not there to kill, but our intention is not to, for them to continue.
We can't move the house, we can't move the tree, we can't move anything else. The only thing we can do is just change the environment. They move on. Just change but the environment you change should not become a food for the tree that it grows and you give more to them. And the environment you create has to be, to me, I've thought about this many times. At the moment we have this dilemma with different and the handling of it is how we create an environment to change. Good for one, but doesn't destroy the others, but moves what you don't like, then become dominating. We decide all the ants will be in the ravine. Can you imagine how many billions of ants? The neighbors will move on. When they say now, but the ravine is not for us, we step up and they extend their souls and they come back with the revenge.
Maybe they eat concrete instead of dirt, to build their house.
They go to everything. These
evolved ants are 20 times bigger and so.
I know what to do, but it's exactly, it's not a problem in one house. It's a problem around the world with different animals. With you have what you have to take
Well,
into Australia, the mouse. Now there's another animal which is appearing in northern Australia. They've been brought. This is the cats or something. We bring them in, or they come in and we don't notice, or we let them grow, and then we have to change their mind not to be there.
it's like when they got rid of the pigs that used to roam in the streets in Europe, apparently at one point, and then all of a sudden they had a problem with the garbage building up, and they had to figure out a way to get rid of the garbage because the pigs used to take care of that naturally. So they got rid of one problem, but found they had another
We
one.
have this problem now with foxes and squirrels in UK. Foxes live amongst people in their houses because they live off the bins. They become educated and start going and hunting. Every night the food is in the bin. They come out, you see them, they nest in people's gardens.
You have problems with bears with that. We call them garbage bears or dump bears.
The way we adopt, they adopt. We adopt, go in their territory, they come in our territory, take what is their right.
We've got raccoons that are scaling skyscrapers now too. They're finding them way up, many dozens of stories high apparently, and they're learning how to scale skyscrapers and that kind of thing.
They're like penthouses.
They're elevating themselves, I guess.
This is not this somewhere we have to draw a line. We cannot.
In a way, I was just thinking you could even extrapolate this to the terrorism thing, and how do we deal with, or how do governments or armies or whatever deal with terrorism and deal with some entities seem to think that certain populations need to have bombs dropped on them or weapons used or whatever. And how do we, as a society, deal with that kind of thing where there might be an issue somewhere in a way like ants, but we have to be totally compassionate and have a way to move people around and change the conditions in the situation so everyone is satisfied somehow.
Would we, if we deliver the food these ants like as an energy in their nest, would they come out and they stay there?
What's interesting, these leaf cutter ants are cultivating a fungus which provides their food. And they are feeding the fungus for the fungus to feed the ants.
Good point.
That's why they need so many leaves for fermentation. There are other ants who are carrying some other small insects on trees because those will bite into the tree and they produce some sweet juice. So ants really do agriculture. Not all the ants, but some kind of ants. So it's always a complex situation. It's not just what's at the first appearance.
So maybe there's a way to cultivate the ants, the way like, bees could be a problem. If you step on a bee's nest, then it's a real problem. I stepped on a hornet's nest when I was a kid, and I get hit 20 times. But if you cultivate those nests, it makes honey, and everybody's happy. The bees are happy, the beekeeper's happy, the people that buy the honey are happy. So maybe there's a way to leave the nests where they are, but isolate them in a certain way that, like Mr. Keshe is saying, they're happy to be in the nests and not go into the house. And not, right. They'll get big and fat and lazy. They won't want to tear up the place.
When the place is too many in the nest, the lady would not lay more eggs.
Well, that's
we got to
probably true
find
too. Yeah,
these are solutions we have to find for not just these ants, the situation with the weeds, and then we have the situation. It's becoming part of what, as we grow as an organization, as a foundation, with the development of technologies, we'll face more. And where do we draw a line?
Yes, every situation has its own things that need to be considered. So,
but what is the purpose of these ants? What would they bring? Why do we have so many ants? And how many souls do we need? If every creature has a soul, can you imagine how many billions of them are running in the nest?
yes, and we're way outnumbered by the insect world as far as the humans go.
And the fishes. Any other question? We'll try to find an answer. It's in the way to change the environment of the house, the home. They move on very, very rapidly.
May I suggest a remedy? This is Gatwa. Hello, good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning, Dr. Gatwa.
Here we are not worried about ants. We just use ash, wood ash, set them away without harming them.
Yeah.
So you just apply wood ash where you see them, and they move away.
Do you put water on it or just dry?
Dry. It burns, you know.
Oh,
so
okay.
They like it. They live. You know, wood ash is alkaline. You can make caustic soda out of wood ash. So they just live.
Yeah, but wood ash is a nanoparticle too.
Exactly. So farmers use it here in Kenya. Is beneficial to the soils, as it also gets rid of ants. Not gets rid of them, just sets them away. They go back home or somewhere else where you don't
Depends
need
where
them.
the new home is.
Thank you very much. That's what we do.
Very much.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning. We don't know this voice, but we know we're going to hear from it. Hi, Caroline.
Good morning, everybody. Do you remember what we used to use in Ghana? We made a corridor to prevent animals, you know, we call them the creepy crawlers. To prevent them to come into the house, we just poured CEO water just around the house, so they just don't cross the barrier to protect your house. You don't kill anything, you just put a barrier that they don't want to cross that field straight. And if you want to go scientific about animals without harming or hurting them, there is enough scientific evidence what they like and what they dislike. So if you can make calcium GANs to remove a cancer, you can compose a specific GANs for ants that they don't like it. So they move on without hurting or harming them.
I know that works. I've seen it in Ghana. It works very effectively.
And even when you want to keep mosquitoes away, you spray your windows with CEO water. They do not come near, and the flies don't come near either. So you keep even those outside your house.
You see, you said you'd never learned anything from Africa. Now you know how expert you become.
Oh, I learned so much. I adore my beauty, which I put back on her feet, and so many other dogs. So the knowledge is working. You got to find the way how it works for them and is not harming them. That's the priority.
Any other?
would it be possible, Mr. Keshe? Because with this now, it brings up another question, as usual. You remember I used to do the treatment with the 4 ganses with the parvovirus? Is virus carrying a soul?
Yes.
So then we have to find what they don't like, because I used at that time the CEO GANs to literally kill them with what they were doing,
no,
killing the dogs.
No, they don't. You create a new energy condition. Virus is the energy added, which has got the amino acid strength or linked to amino acid strength. The viruses are packs of energies which they mutate within the presence of amino acid, or they live within the presence of amino acid. They have a life, a cycle of life, but on the other hand, you don't kill, you deprive them of the energy which are effective to us. Without viruses, we can't live. We have all carry different kind of viruses. But at certain strengths, they become dangerous. So if you use, this I was explaining to some scientists some time ago, it says, how come we can take this, it doesn't kill the other things, but it kills only this? I said, it's this balance, because when you give a field, everybody takes whatever it needs and equal. And if the virus has got more, it has to give to bring the others to up, it depletes itself. The way this technology works in the virus spaces, or in, I'm trying to get rid of something. You see, we got to understand the science behind these things as a plasma technology. Then we change it in a totally different way. You see, when you have all the cells, when you have all the cells of the same strength, and then now you get a virus in there which latches onto this and a little bit here and maybe here. When you introduce, let's say, a copper GANs, everybody, because it's imbalanced, they take imbalance. Now what happens? The game changes. The game changer is that by law of plasma, this guy now has got more. It tries to give to raise this one up. So what do? You deplete its energy. And that's how the technology works in the virus. In trying to balance now this, because now this is weaker than this is stronger. So what it does, it depletes, you take the energy away. And when you take the energy away, because it's in respect to the others, it works so effectively on virus. The Keshe Foundation, in a very short time, I hope we do this. This is a gift to Africa, gift to the third world nations. And I explained it very recently in one of the research centers, and we should see it in the market very soon. There is a specific way. We have a problem in third world nations. We have a problem in the, I don't call them third world, in all the nations. There's a specific way to do it. Many of people have done this. It doesn't work, but there's a specific way to do it. We're trying to organize it in a way that it can be understood. Nations which have been robbed of their wealth, what I would like to call them third, because we took it off them, they actually were first. They cannot afford a sterilization. When you go to a hospital, a doctor takes a knife. If he can afford to do the operation, a knife goes, a cutter goes, anything else in the room needs to be sterilized. Poor nations cannot afford it. And even if they can do in a hospital, there's one sterilization unit, extremely beautifully made by the Europeans or Americans, sold to them. They cannot afford running it. boiling and then sterilizing this other. Because these tools come back and create all sorts of problems. Most patients, even in English hospitals, die from cross-contamination in the hospital. Huge number of patients die every year from infection inside the hospitals, in operating rooms. Even some cancers are transferred at the point of operation from one cell to another. We have developed a new technology. It's going to be marketed by Keshe Foundation in a very short time. I hope our team will do. It's a specific way to do things. It's not going to cost more than tens of dollars. And what it is, we, as I explained to our team, we need a capsule, 5 milligram, 5 milliliters, 10 milliliters. That this specific way of capsule can be delivered into this box. The doctor picks the knife, drops it in the box, or the nurse, or whatever it needs in the operating room, during the operation, after operation. 5 to 10 seconds later, they pick it up. Cleaner, more disinfectant than the most highest hygiene systems we have. We are putting this to test to governments to test it for us. Very soon, they'll be given to be tested in a real condition. This way, we save lives. In the house, you buy all these chemicals to sterilize. Children toys, just drop it in, pick it up. It's totally plastic. It's one of the commercial units which will come out of Keshe Foundation. They have to do the testing and then certification of it. And we have a lot of proof to show it works. These are what comes. Viruses cannot, going on a knife on bacteria, microbes. In this environment, they cannot exist. We deplete their energy. Few dollars. All the hospitals around the world follow the same standard. As I said, this part of this technology is bringing everything to balance, and we don't see any more problem. And doctors and FDA officers who test things without us knowing tell us a lot of information which is going on in the back. That how these knives or waters, when it's used back in, even as a disinfectant, is more powerful than other things they've seen. We have scientific research data will soon, but this equipment, this simple equipment, will be released by Keshe Foundation. There's a specific way to do it that it covers the full spectrum. This is been tested and it works. So we'll see, as I said, now that the Keshe Foundation, different research centers and the factories have actually become active, thanks very much to the management team in the background and all these meetings which goes on between different groups of the Keshe Foundation. We start feeding back a lot of new things. I saw new things from Arizona. They'll show you next week. I know other research centers have new products coming through Klaus and through what you call Italy. Chinese are at it, and it'll grow up gradually. But these are the things we start going into high volume, but what is needed in public. It's not anymore cups and ganses and mortars. These are the things which is coming up. We've seen they tell us they have a good results with their seats, but they haven't advertised it properly. They need to promote their business, not just on the Keshe Foundation network. The advertising group, management group has to go into public. I've seen them, they're trying to test it or whatever. You have a certification, use the public media, bring in advertisers and tell them this is what it is. I support you in different ways with it. You have a certified goods, you are too shy to show. Talk to the media, bring advertising groups in and let them advertise it for you. There are different ways to share profit with them and to get that done. Selling 1 or 2 or 10 or 50 or 100 on Keshe Foundation website is not good enough. you have a product which has got guaranteed sell, bring advertising groups and find a way to share profit with them and bring it into the market. We have a lot of good things, it's just that now we have to learn how to bring it to be good for other people. Shall we call it a day?
Okay, sounds good, Mr. Keshe. You've certainly answered lots of questions here today. Thank you for that. And given us some new directions to aim at as well.
The teachings from now on, we cannot keep on putting new knowledge out if it's not followed. It just becomes what do you call it, part of recording, and somebody else does it. We need to follow, we need to do. We asked 20 minutes a day to try to show the beauty of technology. How many of you have it done? We never ask you to do this and that, but we ask you do it for humanity. If you're here, it's another step. Maybe it's not your way to do it, find another way to put back what you have used. Even if it gave you a pleasure to see GANs at the bottom of things, it works. Transfer that pleasure to somebody else to have it. And we'll see where we go. As I said, I put my life and my time to see this technology through, and we see gradually breaking. Thank you.
Maybe one last thing here in regards to that. Some people may be hesitant on how they can express their interaction with the technology and so on. So there's a question: how can we guarantee that if we create a field, for example, of CuO or copper oxide for insects, that for example, the bees can live in this field, and what effect does it have on humans? So, I mean, my answer would be through testing, but what would you say that when there's considerations for, I mean, this is sort of what you're talking about in a way. It's difficult because there's so many
cannot harm. The gases cannot harm. We know that because it goes by the energy balance of the environment. It depends if we like to have that energy to receive it, or do we have what we receive enough of it. That's a fundamental understanding of the totality of the technology. You only take what is not in balance and what you need, which is short in your system. Exactly what we showed with the last bit, how the bacteria and how viruses work. If you're in balance and you have normal diseases, so the disease does not get fed to elevate to not to be, and it doesn't get depleted if it doesn't need to, if it's not the stronger. But you have to understand how to fit into what environment, what is needed, or you can target it. This is the question I put to the agricultural team, Dr. Gatwan, is the people. How do we get rid of different plants? We call them weeds, that allows us to grow what we need without damaging what we need to grow. How do we not go into using pesticide and herbicides, but we create a condition of balance? Do we give a condition that they do not grow the time the wheat grows? Or we create a condition that the life is subsided during the growth of the thing. After that, there is no need. We can't do much actually. The farmer, nowadays is tradition in the West that we put things to put the nature back in, and they grow one season to get the nutrition back. They grow plants to get the nutrition back. Can we position that they grow in the season when we are not growing something else, or are we intensively growing everything else? So why should the wheat have it? We have to find a position of moderation that we can, at the same time, the world of science will teach us very soon how to. We are working on new technology of satelliting, where you don't change a field, you don't water a field, but you you create an environment that every villager has the same benefit and profit as others.
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
John here. You were talking about sterilization for surgery and whatever. We've got something very much bigger, which would be sterilization and cleansing of water, potable water, and we could recycle the loo and shower waters back to drinking water. And if we had these pills in the water tank,
We already working on such a thing on a commercial level. It
could
can
we
be done.
because I've offered it indirectly.
Pardon?
I've offered this indirectly to the people that do this work here where I live. But
Yeah, we are.
is interested, yes.
We have shown this in Africa, in Ghana, drinking from the rivers and converting it. Israelis have a technology very not similar, but it works on a different principle, but it's not the plasma technology. Americans have it for their soldiers in some cases. Purification through plasma is very cheap, very effective. And we don't go out and show it till we have a certification that we are sure we don't get accused of you done this and that wrong. But we already have such a system on the horizon. It's getting tested to clean up the waters, even sewage. The process of understanding is how much we need to do it ourselves and how much our waters are contaminated. And how the present governments use chemicals to do it. Caroline was telling me a few days ago that the water in one city, when you open the tap, is nothing but chlorine. You just smell it on your body when you wash. And this was a city where the purity of the water was famous for. It used to all come from a lake, and now they add so much chlorine into it because there's not enough water to recycle. We're coming to the point, actually, that we've done that in China. We have to bring it down. There's a number of scientists in Keshe Foundation who achieved it. And that is, do we need to hold water, or can we create, as we understand how water is created, in the tanks that the water is produced, created from interaction of the fields as we need them? We're going to do it in the space, why not faster here? That's another option. That is an option very much on the horizon. And so the water we create from the interaction of the fields is pure enough for anything. Or will it be pure for anything that we can use it? We start pushing in a very specific direction for water, food security, land security, what we call health security, through the introduction of new, very simple systems. We cannot deliver systems to feed the whole city, but we can produce small systems that in the house you can have, and you don't want to go, you have no money, or you don't want to spend money to go to restaurants or cook or whatever. You just sit in the room, the system you put on, you take what you need, and that's what food today is, energy for that day to survive. We are not in a dreamland, we are just working on it, the tests getting done all over. There will be a burst of new things coming out, different part of the Keshe Foundation. It's not just the seat, the strap, and the other things. As I said, I'm back into research, and a lot of things will come back in. when I fully go back into research, there was Caroline was saying, why don't we set up a group for innovations and what do you call it, new technologies, new products that we can come, people can innovate. I said to her, we don't have the facilities to do it. These things, when we do the innovations, we have a group which they come up with innovations and do things, but we have to strengthen ourselves. It's no use putting things out so much that doesn't come into and does not get used by no one nowhere, and then we just become pile of people who put things out, it doesn't work, otherwise we market it. We structured a different way, and then what we call, as Caroline was saying, the innovation groups will come all over from the use of both system technology by humanity. But we need to do it, we need to go through it. It's the phase we are going through. It's a very rough phase for a lot of Keshe Foundation supporters. But we passed it, we're going through a beautiful growth, and we see how it comes. The problem with us is we come here, we listen, but we don't go and just show the beauty of it. On the agriculture, the Keshe Foundation team, management team, has put the videos for the agriculture and health. It should be out, just been sent to me to be approved for publication. Next few days you receive it. Plaster it everywhere. You don't need us. Just go and add to it, find it, and send it, as I said. But I don't think maybe a handful of you have done that. It's good to come and listen, but it's very hard to go and do it. And this is how it will establish and how it will go through. You came here, you enjoyed the fruit of teachings, go out and spread the knowledge through its beautiful work. I'm very glad I don't go and then to find things, to show things, this is what it does, because that's not my job. Otherwise, if you want me to show you every week, I'll go and find hundreds of, what do you call it, testimonial, and come and show. We call it testimonial show, but that's your job, not mine. I teach, just for you to show the beauty. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for today. Thanks, Rick, and the whole Keshe Foundation team in the background.
Well, thank you for teaching for the last 245 Knowledge Seekers workshops, Mr. Keshe.
246.
It's a pretty big number, yes, including today. And I'm really happy to hear you're getting back into research as well. And I think that'll show some big results probably in the next short while.
Well, we have new systems coming out. We are supporting the number of research for new products. It's going through the beautiful teams around the Keshe Foundation teams are dedicated teams, and so we see what comes up. And anybody comes up with new ideas you want to show, you develop something, we're still open to see. We bring it in open to show the discoveries and the developments. And in so many ways, it's the next step in development. We, as I said, Keshe Foundation team have and are working on motorless, for the first time, system that they don't need any use through the plasma. You see a number of new products coming from one or two sources of the Keshe Foundation, and these are game changers. These are the game changers, because once we show it, the others will follow. And as they said, they use my name to sell things, and then it's theirs. We're just using your name to sell the goods, but it's not yours. You taught us what to do. It's good, and let's give security to feed the child. Thank you very much for today. And just remember, start with 2 minutes. If 20 minutes is too much, 2 minutes, try to spread the benefit of the technology to those who are decision makers. And then maybe without you knowing, you spend 10 minutes, and tomorrow night it'll be another 10 minutes, and maybe the wife gets on that. I'll do it. I know some other groups and the children do it. We need a few active people to do it, like the transcriber groups, and a few people are the parts, and then it'll move on. Thank you very much indeed for today, Rick, and the whole of Keshe Foundation.
You're certainly welcome. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And speaking of transcribers, I'll just put a notice in that we're in need of transcribers for the Knowledge Seekers workshops in particular, but all of the Keshe productions. And you can contact the Keshe Foundation in various ways, and we can set you to work in transcribing if you so desire, which is a really great way to get sort of in on the ground floor of the Keshe Foundation and become part of, it's a way of service. It's how I get started, and I really recommend it. Okay, thank you everybody for attending the 246th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 18th, 2018. It's been a pleasure to be your host today, and I think we have Flint will be taking us out with a video here. See you next week.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate. The development of the Keshe Foundation medical equipment has resulted in many different devices within the Foundation's medical inventory. One of these medical devices is the plasma ball unit. The plasma ball unit mainly consists of several spheres which are mounted on motors and therefore rotate at certain speeds, which can be regulated using a controller. Inside the spheres, different types of ganses in different physical states can be placed. The combination of ganses of various field spectra are used and concentrated to balance the fields and hence the matter of the human body. The plasma ball unit is built of high-quality materials and can be applied very flexibly. Thanks to the articulated arms mounted on a casted frame, every shielded motor can be moved freely in all directions. Materials used for the plasma ball unit are laser-cut and powder-coated stainless steel for the base frame, on which 3 sockets for the carbon fiber rods are fixed. On these vertical carbon fiber rods, the articulated arms, mainly out of carbon fiber, are mounted and can be moved freely. Thanks to the articulations, many geometries can be achieved to address every part of the body and create different types of concentrated fields. A maximum of 8 articulated arms can be mounted on a single casted frame, and 2 frames can be placed opposite one another so as to increase the number of articulated arms that can be positioned around a lying body. The plasma ball unit is a CE-certified medical Type 1 device and is delivered as a kit. Most of the components are pre-assembled, and completing the assembly takes a maximum of 15 minutes. The price of a plasma ball unit with 4 articulated arms is €4,900 excluding VAT and shipping. Payment by installments is possible. €2,500 when you order, €1,250 on delivery, and the rest 1 month later. The plasma ball unit can be ordered at http://store.keshefoundation.org. Order today and bring balance back to your life and the lives of those you care for.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.